When they knock on your door with this Swiss documentary, what was your first reaction? When you first learned about this project, what was your first reaction?
I was aware they were making this, there's a lot of people who make movies about Tibetans and about His Holiness, and every day of his life he's giving interviews and people are trying to make something out of this. So I'm always a little skeptical. My assistant at my foundation said, look, they want to show you this film. One of the directors is Manuel Bauer, who I'd known for years because he was His Holiness's still photographer who'd been following him around the world and really take beautiful pictures of His Holiness and was very trusted within the Tibetan community. So they wanted to show me the movie. So they came to New York and we screened it. And my wife was there as well. And I thought it was a beautiful film. They did a beautiful job. They had this beautiful archival footage, which is always exciting to see, some of which I'd never seen before. But they also had this extraordinary footage of His Holiness looking directly into the camera. And they were using this technique that had been invented by Errol Morris, who's a great American documentary filmmaker, where there's a mirror in front of the lens, and the interviewer is over here, but the image is there. So he's talking to the image, but he's really looking right into the lens. So you have this very intimate connection with the Dalai Lama, which I'd never seen before on film. And I thought that was very exciting and very important, because it probably wouldn't happen again. So I said, actually my wife was in tears watching the movie. She was just weeping. And I was very moved too, but I had more ideas of what could be done. I thought maybe we could do different music. I thought some other editing and refining could be done. So I said, look, I'd be happy to be involved with this, but let's try some other things. And I brought my friend Oren Moverman, who I'd made many films with, and the two of us worked with an editor, and we kind of experimented with some other possibilities. We found some other archival footage, we changed the music, and everyone seems to be pretty happy with the results.
This film seems like a tribute to hope, and considering the state of the world nowadays, I don't know if it's almost a political statement, fighting for hope.
Yeah. When they made this film, it was kind of a document, I think, to present His Holiness to the world, but also to be, and my interest was, okay, this is the 90th year of the Dalai Lama. And I've had the extraordinary good fortune of being a student and a friend of His Holiness for 45 years or more. So I saw this too as a testament and a summation of the Dalai Lama's work on this planet. But then as everything has radically changed on this planet Earth since then, it's taken on a greater importance, I think, of hopefully reorienting all of us as to what is really meaningful, but also a call to action that we have to stand up, is that things can't change by just praying about it. You have to do something. So again, stimulating a sense of responsibility, but that responsibility is fueled by wisdom and compassion.
Yo me he quedado muy preocupada con el Tíbet. Quería saber actualmente desde Madrid, en su vida actual, cómo puede ayudar a usted al Tíbet desde España o desde Europa.
After watching the documentary, she was very worried about the situation in Tibet. How can you help Tibet and Tibetan people from Madrid and from Europe?
Well, You know, I'm the president of the International Campaign for Tibet. And we've been working for 35 years on this subject. We're based in Washington, but we also have offices in Amsterdam, Berlin, and in Brussels. And we're thinking about starting one also in Madrid. Yeah. We've been very successful. We have in 2002, the Tibet Support Act, which codified in U.S. law that we have a great interest in Tibet. And it mandated the appointing of a special coordinator for Tibetan affairs within the State Department. We've had other acts, which is the Equal Access to Tibet Act, which is if we can't get into Tibet, which is I can't, even American citizens of Tibetan descent can't get into Tibet. Journalists can't get into Tibet. Other governments and governmental overseeing agencies, the UN, cannot get into Tibet. Then those officials inside Tibet who are part of that policy can't travel to the US. The latest act we have is to redefine the history of Tibet. And what it does is say clearly that the Chinese version of history, that Tibet is since ancient times been part of China, is false, completely false. The other part of that is that as it will happen at some point, this Dalai Lama will leave his body and he will reincarnate. The Chinese Communist Party says that it's up to the Communist Party to decide where he will incarnate, which is ridiculous. But from the US law point of view, it's up to the Tibetan people to decide who is going to be the correct Dalai Lama in his next incarnation. And these are law now in the US. So I would like to take these precedents, which are in US government law, in our Constitution as it were now, and bring them to the EU, and bring them to separate countries in Europe.
Very short.
Yes.
Un Kit Kat.
Oh yeah, I mean, we just barely scratched the surface.
Yeah,